Ho, ho, ho. Okay, it might be slightly early, but if you follow me at all on social medias, you will know that I am crazy about Christmas. I cannot wait for like Halloween to be over and then Christmas comes in. And my family, they kind of grumpily agree to go along with it when I start watching Christmas movies and slowly decorations are coming in. And then I haven't started playing Christmas music just yet, but by the time this comes out, I probably will. So, what I do want to do, since now it's going to be my first podcast of December, I want to make sure that each and every one of you have like all the tools you need to be able to enjoy the holidays. Because whether you are totally into Christmas like I am, or you maybe a bit, you downplay it a bit more, you for sure deserve to enjoy this time whichever way you want with whoever you want without having so much other shit going on that is completely unnecessary. So I'm gonna give you my 5 top tips that I've thought about trying to find like the easiest way to explain this to you and give you something that's really tangible so you can use this, right? So for a start, I am working this Christmas. I'm working from the 23rd of December to the 30th of December, which like crashes with my Danish Christmas, with the British Christmas that Bruce might want to have, but everything is just like out of the window. And this is about the first point I want to make, which is I could sit here and be really annoyed about that. I could be arguing with reality, say that it shouldn't be like this, that why do I have to wait Christmas? Okay, so caveat, I do have to wait Christmas because I haven't waited Christmas in ages, so it is my turn. I fully accept that. But I could argue with it, right? I could totally focus on why can't I be here for Christmas and why do I have to work and look at all the others who are not working and look at that could be doing this and I could be doing that, right? And that is called arguing with reality. And as I often say, like Byron Katie says, when you argue with reality, you lose, but only every single time. So doing this to ourselves, arguing with it and wanting things to be different when they are one way, that is just adding suffering to your life for no reason at all. Unless you, of course, you can change something around or you want to change it. I don't because I respect my peers and my colleagues. And I do want to make sure, we each take our turn working Christmas because it's only fair, right? I think also we tend to sometimes idealize what we cannot have. So in my case, for example, I could idealize Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and I could imagine how amazing it would be if I could only be there. And, if you got small kids, like how would they be if they could all be together and this and the other. And I mean, honestly, my childhood Christmases were fairly tainted by my alcoholic father and some dubious family situations. So, I know that for a lot of people, Christmas might not be a perfect time. But for sure, when we can't be there, we tend to idealize it and we tend to make it into this like movie worthy dinner time with family and everything would be so perfect. And it might not be that way, right? We tend to do that because the grass is always greener. Since I can't be there, I make up all these scenarios where everything would be so perfect if only. But you don't really know, right? Because you might come down with the flu and have a terrible Christmas anyway. So, accepting what is incredibly important to your happiness, and that is all year round, not just holidays. But arguing with something when you have decided signed up for something and this is just happening now, arguing against that and not accepting it in your head, even if you're still doing it, but in your head you're not accepting it, that just adds so much suffering to yourself. So in this specific case, which is working over Christmas, and it could be something else for you that you don't want to happen, for example, your mother-in-law coming around or whatever it is you can't change. For this specific, for me, one way I get around it is I lean into gratitude. So I lean into gratitude because this job pays me well and it pays my bills and it makes me able to buy Christmas trees and food and travel and pay for my kids to come and be with me and, heating, electrics. Like I feel so grateful for this job paying me. And I also feel grateful for being allowed to do this work, right? Because not everybody are so lucky that they have their dream career and they can work in it. In Spain, most of my friends have studied something, have gone to university, literally have a career, and then they never worked in it. So one friend worked to become like a kindergarten teacher. She now works in her own internet shop. One of my friends, who is incredibly like a genius, she studied history of art, loves it. You take her anywhere in a town, and she'll just name all the buildings and how when they were built and why and how. And she works for the government as in an admin position. So all those careers are wasted, and they're working in something that doesn't really light them up, and they just they just feel lucky that they can earn the money they're earning, right? But we as vets, most of us had the dream of becoming a vet, and it is still, even no matter how burned out and how stressed and how sometimes a complicated workplace you may be in, it is still an incredible um gift to be allowed to work in our career, because a lot of people are not able to do this, and they're not allowed to work within what they actually want to work in. They just have to do something that doesn't light them up, right? So this is my first tip to you. Like, stop arguing with reality. If it's not like how you want it to be, accept what is, and find a way to be grateful for it regardless, related to your vet work. The second point is, once you kind of like accepted what is, you can then refocus, and you can focus towards the positive, and you can choose to get the absolutely most out of it. So in my case, because I have to work over Christmas, I have actually Bruce found and dug out my Christmas scrap top, which is like a Betty Boop one, which I absolutely love, and all the clients always love it. It is so cute. I got a couple of chokers that I made sure to bring with me, with little reindeer, and one with like a Christmas tree, and I got little Christmas things to put in my hair, just because I want to have the most out of it, and I'm celebrating Christmas. I have been so incredibly lucky that one of my nurses has invited me to her home for Christmas Day. So I'm going to have a British Christmas Day now with one of my nurses. I feel really lucky for this. So I'm leaning all in and finding all the positive things. And when I think back to when I was a kid, when I was 5, 6 years old and dreamt about being a vet, being able to work over Christmas and wear a Christmas top and have Christmas stuff on me, and just be in the Christmas spirit while I'm helping animal. Back then, I mean, I would have cried of happiness. It would have been so cool. And I try to get that feeling back and think, how cool is this that I'm literally buying, I bought a Christmas scrap top, and I'm gonna get to wear it, and I'm gonna get to wear all these Christmas things and say Happy Christmas to people while I'm helping their pets vomit up chocolates or whatever it is we're gonna be doing. So refocusing, once you've accepted what is, refocusing towards the positive, find anything positive you can and drag it out from underneath the stones if you have to bring you into a spirit that you can totally choose to have. Now, the third trick is a bit more about all the busyness, right? Because as vets, I think a lot of us just tend to be busy by default, because our brains just always are busy. We always like make up all this stuff we want to do. And so I want you to watch out for your to-do lists. One thing I have learned, I learned this from Tim Ferriss actually, is not to sign up for anything that is not a hell yes. Because it's so easy to be lulled into busyness where you're kind of going to things and inviting people around or engaging in activities that it's okay, right? You can enjoy it, but it's not a hell yes. And every time you sign up for one of those things, you might be saying no to something else that might be more of a hell yes for you. A hell yes for me is watching Christmas movies. It's also reading fantasy books. Anything Christmas related, going to a cinema would be a hell yes. And then there are some selective people that I really enjoy being with and that I will cook for. But I will not do it out of because I have to, right? I'll find ways around that. Of course, if from my heart, like I feel sorry for someone and I kind of like don't want them to be alone on Christmas, I might choose to do that, but I'm never going to do it from this sense of obligation. Like, things have to be a hell yes for me to say yes to them. So I want you to really look at any activities, any dinners, anything you sign up for this month, because there's so much going on, and make sure you like feel into yourself, feel in your stomach. How does it feel saying yes to this? And allow yourself to breathe and pause before you say yes, or say, let me think about it. Don't get like dragged into saying yes on the spot, and then you feel bad and you don't want to say no, or you have to make up you're sick or something because you don't really want to go. So that's the thing about your to-do list as well, is what is strictly necessary. Like, strip that list down to items that only involve, like, the kids will die of hunger or the house will burn if I don't do these things. Like, look at what expectations you have for yourself, for these activities. So I just realized I hadn't plugged my computer in. I don't want it to, like, die suddenly, and then I'm sitting here talking into the void. So look at your expectations, right? Because we could have really high expectations for how we want the house to look, the decorations. We have to cook everything from scratch. That's one of mine. Like, my pet peeves. I just love cooking, but maybe you feel obligated to cook from scratch. You feel obligated to cook for these people. You feel, you have to clean to a certain standard, or you have to invite people around, or whatever it is. You have to buy all these presents and they all have to be personal, and you have to wrap them up in a special way. I don't know, whatever it is that keeps you very busy, but it's not strictly necessary. Like, strip that list down, as if you were in a strip club. Like, literally, we have such high expectations for ourselves and what we should be doing, and what a real mom or a real wife or a real, auntie, whatever it is that all your roles are, what they have to do, and revise that, and don't let yourself get dragged into just being busy all the time, right? As I've said before, like, get used to sitting on a sofa doing nothing, because that's when you're really gonna lean into, okay, what do I want to do next? Like, you stop and let yourself feel what you want to do next, and stop and think about, like, what is important to me. So the fourth exercise I have for you that might be a really nice thing to do, and it will take a bit of time, but this might be really nice for you to end the year and to start the new one, is to do a priority list. So I'm sure I've spoken about this before, but I'm sure you're not listening to have what I say anyway, and then you forget it. So I will say it again. But take a piece of paper and just sit down, give yourself maybe even just 10-15 minutes for this. So you take a piece of paper and you sit down and you write your 5 top priorities in life down. So that could be, for example, your kids, or being healthy, or work, or whatever it is. Like, really think about, feel into. You can write them down, and then you can put them in whatever order you think. And once you have done that, then I want you to then sit and then put in another piece of paper, write down, what are you spending most time on right now? What are you filling your life up with? And you might realize how disparate, do you say that in British? How not aligned these two lists are, what your priorities are, and what you're actually dedicating time to. And how can you make the list with things you're doing now get more and more leaning towards what's actually your priorities in life? Because we only get one life, right? And you don't want to be on your deathbed looking back, realizing that you spent 95% of your time on stuff that was actually not even on your priority list. So that is my 4 tip for you this holiday, is to spend that little time and just, like, revise your life choices and what you're spending most time on as compared to what is really important to you. This will also help you weed out in your to-do list. And the 5th tip I want to give you, which is so cliche, I know, I'm sorry, I apologize, but it's be in the now. And here's why. When there's 2 things. One is, if you're always thinking, let me give you a couple examples. Let's say you're at work right now, and you are now thinking about the operation you did yesterday, and I wonder if that is bleeding, or if I did the right thing, if I priced it right, whatever. So now you are today. Your brain is also thinking about yesterday, right? So now your brain is already on 2 different planes. And now you're also thinking about this appointment you got tomorrow that's coming in, and you have seen on the diary, because you do what I always would never recommend, which is looking into the future and look at what's coming in, and then you start worrying about it. Oh no, this dog is coming back and the treatment is not working, and now they're coming back, and I wonder then what I can give instead. Notice how just being in the clinic, with dealing with whatever you're doing, being in the past and being in the future, your brain is actually working at 3 times more capacity than it really should be doing. How tiring is that? And then there's also if you're at home and you're, say, with someone you love or you're doing something nice, and then your brain goes to, oh shit, when I go to work tomorrow, I have to remember to XYZ. And then you also are thinking about yesterday where either something happened in the clinic or maybe you said something you shouldn't to your kid or to a coworker or something. And your brain is just constantly working in three different timelines. Like, how exhausting is that? One of the reasons I have so much energy and I can pull off so much shit all the time and travel so much and have so many different relationships all over, relationships as in with other humans, not romantic relationships. I'm only married to Bruce and I am at full monogamy. Just in case you were wondering. I digress. Is because I am able to stop my brain when it starts going into the future worrying, or when it starts going into the past of yakety yakety, you should have, you could have, and what if, and what did they mean? And I just notice it and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I just let it go. I don't let it keep going. And you will notice a surge of energy when you are able to be in the now, not constantly wanting to or thinking about being somewhere else or doing somewhere else. That will like liberate your brain so much. And because the brain spends an crazy amount of energy, I'm telling you, I am almost off sugar because I eat whole plant-based and I'm incredibly anal about my whole nutrition. But when I study a lot, when I have to use my brain a lot, the amount of glucose I crave because my brain uses so much energy. I don't know if you're aware of this, like how much energy our brain uses. So imagine if your brain is working 3 times more than it actually is necessary. Because worrying about tomorrow or going over what you did yesterday is like there's no zero, no up, no benefit of it, no upside. So that is something I really recommend that you look out for. And this is also why I recommend journaling, because that is when you can say, okay, let's just take 5-10 minutes, let's get it down on paper. And you have knowledge your brain. You have said, okay, I see this, right? This is what's happening. And you can just let it go instead of having your brain spinning in 3 different timelines at the same time. And what I just touched on, that was the second thing, like not constantly wanting to be somewhere else. So let's say that now I'm working Christmas and my brain is like, oh, I just wish I could be at home, if I was at home now, or if I could just, be at home, or if it was just tomorrow and then I could like start traveling home, and just like wanting to be somewhere else constantly, or thinking about being somewhere else. For example, if I'm at home and then I'm worried about, maybe I know they're understaffed at the clinic, and I'm thinking about, oh, maybe I should really be there. Maybe I should go in and help them or something. That talk towards being somewhere else as well is incredibly tiring as well, because your body is in one place, but your brain is kind of leading you away from that. And then I would say, well, you either go or you stay. Like, just make the decision. And then when your brain starts wanting to be somewhere, it's like, no, we decided in the past that today we're going to be here, this moment, and this is where we are. And maybe I don't like past Gunila because she decided and signed that she would work this Christmas, but she did. And I don't want to, go back on that because I keep my promises. And I actually don't mind working Christmas because I know it's a rare that I do it. So I'm kind of like making it a bit worse than it is. But there was a time where I somehow ended up working every effing Christmas. And then I did get a bit resentful, I must admit. But that resentment and that wishing to be somewhere else and that wishing I should have done different and all this brain spin, between that and your high expectations of what you should be doing, your to-do list and being there for others and just running around like a crazy because you think you should, that is what's going to tire you out. It is not the hours that you work. It is not the physical activities of mopping and floor and hanging up decorations. It's all the extra brain spin you're putting in and that extra pressure you're putting on yourself. And sometimes, like for example, the other day, I met with a representative from Suetis. They were discussing about Bet's mental health or something, and she said, "Oh, thank you so much for meeting up with you. I'm sure you're very busy." And I didn't get time because she then kept on talking, but I wanted to say, no, wait, I'm not busy. I do not want to define myself as a busy person, because as soon as you do that, your brain will be like, oh yeah, we are busy and it's good to be busy. And it's like badge of honor to be busy, and let's find more stuff to be busy about. I really work hard to not be busy. I try to find time to sit down and do nothing and read my fantasy book and watch a Christmas movie, or just sit and find time to meditate, because I know that all this running around and being busy is just going to spin out and make me busier and busier and busier, because now my brain wants to fill up every effing minute of my life with efficiency and doing and expectation. So I hope this helps. So these were my 5 tips to have an amazing month and just like relax and be with your loved ones. And when you work, like just find a way to accept whatever reality you're in and just find the positive in that, because that is, be grateful. You're being gifted with a miracle of being able to work in our profession, as hard as it is sometimes, but I'm sure it was a dream to you once. And remember that when you were a little girl or little boy, like how cool would it have been if they couldn't see you now, and working now and wearing Christmas stuff, and helping dogs vomit up Christmas chocolates. Okay, that was maybe not a dream when you were a kid, but you know what I mean, right? So do that and have a lovely rest of the week and a lovely rest of December so far until next week. Bye.